चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य बह्निवज्ञानम् विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति। अविरोधितया कर्म नाविद्यां विनिवर्तयेत् विद्या विद्यां निहन्त्येव तेजस्विनिरसंभवत् परिच्छिन्न इव ज्ञानात् तन्नाशे सति केवलः। स्वयं प्रकाशते ह्यात्मा मेघापायेषुमानिव। अज्ञानकलुषं जीवम् ज्ञानाभ्यासाद् विनिर्मलम् कृत्वा ज्ञानं स्वयं नश्येत् जलं कतकरेणुवत्। संसारस्वप्नतुल्यो हि रागद्वेषादिसङ्कुलः स्वकाले सत्यवद्भाति प्रबोधे सत्यसद्भवेत्। तावत् सत्यं जगद्भाति शुक्तिकारजतं यथा। यावन्न ज्ञायते ब्रह्म सर्वाधिष्ठानमद्वयम् उपादानेऽखिलाधारे जगन्ति परमेश्वरे। सर्गस्थितिलयान्यान्ति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणि। सच्चिदात्मन्यनुस्यूते नित्ये विष्णौ प्रकल्पिताः व्यक्तयो विविधाः सर्वा हाटके कटकादिवत्। यथाकाशो हृषीकेशो नानोपाधिगतो विभुः तद्भेदाद्भिन्नवद्भाति तन्नाशे केवलो भवेत्।
Atman, self, seems limited because of ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, verily Atman alone shines by itself, like the sun when the cloud passes away. See, Atman is non-dual, that which is infinite. So, there is no question of compartmentalizing infinite. The moment we say infinite, it has obviously no boundaries. It cannot be limited in any way. That is why this verse gives the word iva. Iva means as if. Parichinna iva means it is as if it is in compartments. So it is not really limited, but it appears to be limited. What is this appears to be limited? Limited means what can be limited is that which has a form. Only when there is a form and a name that it can be limited. So what is actually limited is I, you, everybody appear limited. So what is it actually that is limiting us is the equipments that limits us. Equipment is nothing but our body, mind and intellect. Mind and intellect contained within the body. That is what is the equipments. So that way there is a limitation. Can you say that you are all pervading or I am all pervading at the level that we are identifying with? We cannot. Now when we extend like this, what is the activating power inside Atma that seems to be confined to this body, mind, intellect equipment? Therefore it seems limited. One good example, because of that example obviously, or not in a very direct way at least, will not be found in texts like Atma Bodha, because electricity probably was not there in the form that it was here now. Electricity they might have known, Vidyut, all other examples are there, lightning. But as we experience now electricity, probably it was not there. This electricity example, we see that each and every gadget, even within this room, you can see that there is a fan, there is a AC, camera and light. All this is different compartmentalized, parichinna. So, when you switch off a particular gadget, that particular thing goes off. So, what we sort of imagine or misunderstand is that the electricity operating within the equipment is also divided. It is also limited. But we know that, at least in the context of the example, electricity is not limited. It is one uniform electricity that is pervading all over this room. It is concealed. You do not know. But you cannot say that the electricity in the light is different and the electricity in the fan is different. It is one and the same. It appears different, its expressions are different. In a cooler, the electricity expresses as a coolness, and in the heater it expresses as heat. But electricity is neither cool nor hot. It appears limited because of the equipment per se. It is not limited at all. This is what this verse emphasizes. Atman, in all the beings, the body, mind, intellect, these equipments are limited. The Atman which functions within the body is not limited. It is as though one, connected everywhere. It is infinite. Now the question arises as to why does this appear limited? In the practical level, you are different from me. This is a very sort of a realistic experience that we go through. How is it to be explained? It is given in this verse as the cause as ignorance, ajnana. The same ajnanam only is given in Vedantic parlance by another word which is Maya. Maya word has one of the key meanings of that is ignorance. This Maya is said to have two powers. It has a veiling power and it has a projecting power. Veiling means what is there as the truth that is covered, that is called as veil. So that is, in our technical language, you might have heard Swamiji talk about it even in public lectures sometimes. He calls this as non-apprehension. Non-apprehension means the basic reality is not understood or apprehended as it is. This is called as ignorance. This is the veiling power of Maya. Avarna. Avarna means covered. It is that which is there is absolutely covered. This is called as ignorance. The non-apprehension immediately projects a false appearance. That is called as vikshepa. Avarna is one power, vikshepa is the other power. Vikshepa is the projection. The moment rope is not understood as a rope, that is the avarna or the ignorance of the rope. The ignorance of the rope immediately projects that it is a snake, or it could be anything else. Somebody else can project it as any other reptile or a hose pipe or a crack on the earth or anything. All this is actually not reality, it is false, but that false is projected only when there is a ignorance. So what really causes the snake, the cause of the snake is not the rope. The cause of the snake is ignorance of the rope. This has to be very clearly understood. If a rope were to produce snake, then everybody will see a snake where there is a rope. That is not the case. Only a person who is not seeing the rope as a rope, who is ignorant of the rope, he has the tendency to project it as whatever it is getting projected, whether it is a snake or whether it is something else. So, rope is not the cause for the snake. Ignorance of the rope is the cause for the snake. This ignorance is the veiling power. Now, how does the ignorance itself come in? Where is the locus of that? That is there only because the rope is there. So, the causeless cause or the ultimate cause is finally it lands in the doorstep of the reality only. But the immediate cause of the projection of the unreal or the falsehood is because the reality is not understood as it is. This power of ignorance is called as avarna. Avarna means covering power. In the practical experience of ours, projection is the world of perception, emotions and thoughts experienced by our body, mind and intellect. The plurality that we experience is the projection. In this plurality, therefore, the Atman appears limited. The Atman appears limited in this pluralistic expression. When we say that the ignorance covers Brahman as it were, then a doubt may arise as to whether the ignorance is powerful or more powerful than Brahman, that it has the power to cover the Brahman itself. No, not so. That is where the example in this verse is very beautiful. It says, the cloud covers the sun. So there are many points of comparison here. That's why it's a very complete example in this context. The cloud is too small and too insignificant as compared to the sun. So in the context you can say sun is infinite and cloud is finite. Cloud is small, sun is very big and it is not measurable vis-a-vis the cloud. Similarly, the ignorance cannot cover the Atman which is infinite. It is, however big it is, it seems big, it is only finite. The finite cannot cover the infinite, just as the cloud cannot cover the sun. Magnitude wise, there is no comparison at all as far as sun and cloud is concerned. Similarly, there is no comparison here at all. But the cloud appears big and veils the sun. This is our experience. Our experience is that the cloud veils the sun. Now, why it appears big and why it is able to cover the sun is only because of its proximity towards us, that it is close towards us. It is very, very near to us. Exactly like that. The ignorance is very close to you and it covers you completely. Like you can say that like an eyelid covers the whole world. Like that it is so close to you. So, Atman seems invisible. It seems invisible. But even as the cloud is covering the sun is shining brightly. You may recognize it or not recognize it, it is shining brightly. Not only that, the cloud that you are vehemently seeing and because of which what you are denying the sun, the cloud itself is visible for you only because of the sun. The cloud is visible for you only because of the sun. Similarly, vehemently you can deny the existence of Atman with your own coverage. And in the form of a little intellect you speak that there is no God. But the truth remains that it shines as it is. And what makes you say that there is no God? An atheist who proclaims that there is no God, what makes him say that is also only the power within, which is the God. Ultimately, it is the cloud that will pass away and the sun will remain forever. Similarly, ultimately, the ignorance will get destroyed and the Atman will shine forever. So these are the various points of comparison here. This verse also says, the Atman shines by itself. for each and every experience of ours, in each and every experience of ours, there are three aspects to it. Of course, two factors come together to make an experience, subject and the object. And the subject is the individual who is the experiencer. What he experiences is the object. The subject experiences the object through an instrument. So there is an instrument of experience also there. The coming together of subject and object is called as experience. Experience is born when the subject and object come together. Take a physical experience of eating the apple. The subject is the eater, one who eats, the individual. The object is the apple. And when you contact the apple through the tongue, through the body, the experience is, you experience the eating of the apple. Experience is born. Similarly, you watch a movie. The movie projected on the screen is the object. You as the perceiver or seer is the experiencer. And when you see through the eyes, so eyes is, you can say, the instrument of experience. So each and every experience like this needs an instrument by which that experience is felt or experienced by you. And these experiences are unique. The eyes are the instrument for seeing. Eyes cannot be used for something else. Or something else cannot be used for seeing. If a person is blind, he cannot see. Ears are the instrument of experience for hearing. Tongue is the instrument of experience for tasting. These are all physical experiences. What about other internal experiences? Emotions. Yes. You experience anger, you experience love. These are also experiences. There is an object there. Somebody who you get angry upon, your friend or your enemy, that is the object. You as the feeler is the subject. What is the instrument there? The mind. The mind is the instrument of experience there. We are going to see later. This is going to define the mind, body. That's a very interesting portion here. So mind is defined as the instrument of experience. Mind is not the subject, because some of the Western thinkers and philosophers, they have declared the mind to be the subject, the individual self with the mind to be the subject. It is not so. Vedanta says mind is an instrument of experience. There are some experiences which are experienced through your intellect, thinking experience. So those are the experiences for which the instrument is the intellect. So body, mind, intellect, these are the instruments by which we experience all the experiences. So if a person, when he says that once the cloud goes and the sun will shine, similarly all the ignorance goes and the Atma will shine, how do I know? How do I experience it? Will I be able to see it or hear it or smell it through the instruments in the body? Or will I be able to feel it through the mind? Or will I be able to conceive it or grasp it by the intellect? Not possible. Because that is beyond all these equipments. Then how is it to be experienced? It shines by itself. In fact, that stage is a stage which is beyond experience. For our practical purposes, for our language, for our understanding, we may say the experience of self-realization or experience of jnana or something, but it is not experience as we understand other experiences. All the experiences of the dream, within the dream is different, but waking up is different. But we say experience of waking up. Experience of waking up has nothing to do with the dreamer. It is a different thing altogether. Like that, waking up to reality is a completely different thing altogether. So if you want to use it or put it in a sentence as like a poetic form, you can say Atman experiences itself by itself. It has no meaning. It is one and the same. In other words, the subject, object and the experience all merge together into that reality. That is called as the ultimate state of self-realization. So he says, Swayam Prakashate hi Atma. It is self-illuminous. For we said in the comparison that you are able to declare the truth as reflected in your intellect only by that power. So it is by the power of the self that intellect gets reflected. It is by the power of the self that everything gets illumined. But for which there need not be any other external power for it to lighten it up. Just as a torchlight is required or a light is required in a dark room to see anything. But to see that particular light, you don't need another light. To see the sun, you don't need another sun. It shines by itself. This is the point here. So, very deep verse this is. Now, when our access is only ignorance, our access is not Atman now directly. Our access is only ignorance. How do we remove that ignorance? This is what is clarified in the famous verse of verse 5. Yes, sir.
Say that we cannot see Atman because of ignorance, and ignorance is so close to us. I mean, in cases where we talk about Ram Janma or Krishna Janma, when the unmanifest comes into manifestation forms, and everybody sees them as a physical being like us. In that case, what happens to that ignorance? Is the Lord himself removes the ignorance from the other people or what?
No, you are talking about people looking at Avatara.
Yes, so in Mahabharata, when Krishna was born, everybody, all the sides, like Kauravas, the evil ones, the Pandavas, the good ones, the neutral ones, maybe the fighting army, everybody saw Krishna. It is different that they did not realize that he is a divinity. That's a different thing. But everybody saw. Now, when we are talking about this verse, it says the ignorance is one thing which covers the Atman, you do not see it. Now, when in that case, when people see them physically present, is the ignorance removed by the Lord to make the people see them?
No, they are only seeing Mr. Krishna. That's about all. They are not seeing the self. That way that Gopis saw, the way that Bhishma and other Jnanis saw, the way Duryodhana and other people saw, they are all completely different. In fact, there is a very beautiful episode in the Bhagavad where Krishna enters Mathura, and Kamsa has arranged for a game where he wants to finally kill Krishna. That was his plan. As he enters the arena, the entire crowd is seeing it, and it describes as how different people view him differently. Where Kamsa sees only death coming. The Yadava people are saying our boy is coming. But the rishis are seeing as the Brahman comes in a Swarupa like that. So each and everything that you see is also based on your perception inside. So Atma Jnani who is fully opened up, he sees only Brahman everywhere.
My point is that in Maya we decided two things. One is the ignorance, the avarana which covers. And one is the which shape of which is a power of projection. Now which shape is acting? Which everybody is seeing Krishna in a different form. Somebody is seeing a Yadav boy, somebody is seeing a divinity, somebody is seeing a death coming, and also which shape is acting. There is no doubt about it. The question pertains to the ignorance part where we say we do not see, but here everybody is seeing.
They see what is it? You are talking about sight through this eyes. They are not talking about this sight. What they are seeing, even as the Jnani who is seeing with this eyes, he can only see the skin and the other form of Krishna which is having certain height and weight. There is no that particular discussion at all here. The sight is something different for them. So that is why even when you say seer, one who sees, it's not someone who sees with this. So there's no question of viewing the Atman with this. When we are talking about here that it cannot be experienced by your eyes, it has to be understood as this unmanifest reality. Don't bring in the point of avatar and other things, which is a peculiar belief to our way of system here, into this. That will get confused. Here it is only talking about the unmanifest Brahman as it is.
My question was not bringing in anything, it was just an example given. My question is ignorance covers. And here when everybody is seeing a Lord as it is in Sakara Rupa, then is the ignorance revealed, the ignorance removed by the Lord himself to let the people see him as...
Yeah, for that example you need not bring in the form at all. Ultimately who removes? 1 minute. Is it the ignorance that you are putting yourself into? Is it in your hands? See, that is where this verse must lead you to another question, which I did not want to take it up, but you think about it. This ignorance that we are talking about, where is the locus of ignorance? The locus, Ashraya, where is the locus of ignorance? So, you cannot say that the locus of the ignorance is in the individual, because individual itself is a product of the ignorance. So like a chicken and egg thing, which came first and which came next, you do not know really. So the locus is not on the individual. So therefore, if you are sure that the individual is not in the is not the cause of that, ultimate cause of that. So therefore he cannot be the power which is going to remove it also. So therefore the removing power is something else. That is where the statements like Mameye veye prapadyante maya metam tarantite, one who surrender unto me, I reveal myself, all those statements are taken as faith. So therefore, since the first thought or explanation of the ignorance is anadi, the ultimate thing is also not in the hands of the individual. So it has to reveal itself. That is the point. Only the sun has to reveal itself. That is where it leads into the next verse. Next verse says, by your effort, it cannot be removed. Your efforts are limited. So that has to reveal by itself. That has to reveal by itself.
But so many people seeing Krishna.
Again, you are bringing back to Krishna again. Who? Shishupala also said, seeing Krishna means what? They did not see him as a entity at all. See, what is, okay, taking the devil's advocate standpoint, Krishna is the self, what is the proof? There is no proof. If we go by logical arguments, it is our belief that it is avatara. It is a belief. And we have a belief system that infinite can come down and see in a finite form. He can be just a self-realized person also. He can be a great enlightened person also, or a great evolved soul also. That is not this thing. But here he is talking about the experience of self-realization where the Atma from within shines by itself. So there is no question of, you are again viewing it as an experience beyond you. That is not the case here. It is an experience where the subject-object merges into that totality.
Now, talking about the locus of ignorance. It is, to my knowledge or to whatever I have understood, it is disputable in the sense that some people put it in Ishvara or some people put it somewhere else. What is the final standing on this?
That is why, remember this, there is no final standing. That is the beauty of our, the so many arguments and debates of Vedanta also. There are, even I am talking about the Advaita Vedanta, okay, because this aspect of Advaita Vedanta was under tremendous attack from Buddhists and Jains for centuries together. And there was arguments and counter arguments for many centuries together. In the process, what happened was, so much of thought process came, so much of literature came, so much of scientific thinking and reasoning, various things came, which actually helped in the growing of thought process. Much later, when Adi Shankaracharya, after he came and re-established Advaita, the attack on Advaita Vedanta came much later, and one of the chief proponent of that was Ramanujacharya, who was also, he did not attack it from outside. His core was also Vedanta, and everything is based on Vedas only. But he was very bold enough to propose the personal God, and he also quotes all the statements from Vedas and Vedanta only. And his Vashyam, I think it's called Sri Vashyam, is considered a magnum opus on the Vishishta Advaita. There he is giving, I do not know, about 7 or more reasons, 7 solid reasons, and there the weakest link, that is where Swami Ramtirtha, if you see that Maya lecture, he starts with that sentence that he says, we shall now take up the weakest link of Vedanta, he says, because this is considered as the weakest link, and therefore all the people who want to attack this type of thought flow, they attack this aspect of Maya only. So in that Maya, one of the objections that inconsistencies he points out is this ashraya. Where is the locus? You have to say, when is ignorance, where is the locus of the ignorance? That is where he gives. And that is also finally answered later on. Again, that goes on for centuries together. Various thoughts till Vivekananda, Ramtirtha, everybody. So this thought process continues. Ashraya. So even in Advaita Vedanta, there are 2 schools of thought as far as the locus is concerned. Ultimately, the truth is that Brahman alone exists. Nothing else apart from Brahman exists. This is the statement time and again given in the Upanishad. Even if you count other statements which indicate duality or something like that, vis-a-vis the statement which indicate the non-dual aspect of the Brahman, maybe this is more than 90%. Like that it is. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, or Tattvamasi statement and various statements like that all talk about the non-duality of Brahman. And Sa Ekaha, he alone is, like that it is given. When it is only Ekaha, he alone, and if only he alone is there, how can anything else has even a possibility of existence? No chance. No chance. So if from this point of view but we are experiencing ignorance that cannot be denied. And the veiling power and the Vikshepa power of Maya, everything is given. So if you are going to accept this even as a relative standpoint, where can else the locus be apart from Brahman only? Because Brahman alone exists. So the ashraya of that has to be there. But then, knowledge and ignorance, how do we reconcile? Brahman is pure consciousness, knowledge, and Maya we say is ignorance. That is where Padmapadacharya, his school of thought, he says, this Maya is the power. This power of Brahman, as it were, in the Nirguna state, that is where when we talk about, removal of the ignorance, when we talk about even the ultimate Mahapralaya, we say that ultimately everything else goes into the state of unmanifest. Brahman alone stays there, but the potential of the manifestation is still there. That means the association of Maya is always there with Brahman in that state also. In that state also he is called as the Ishvara Tattva. He is Ishvara. But for a Jnani who is realized, he has crossed over the Maya, there is no such thing as manifestation, unmanifestation, nothing. He has crossed Maya. That is the Nirguna state of Brahman that is there. So therefore, when you are talking about this power which is of veiling, which is of Vikshepa, which is throwing out, projection, all these things, the ashraya is taken as the power of Brahman as it were in that state. So when you talk about a power or a Shaktiman or Shakti cannot remain, Shakti cannot remain independently by itself. It has to have ashraya. If I say I have power, only if I is there, power is there. Otherwise, where is the power? So the power has to have a locus. So Maya there is taken as a locus. The Brahman is taken as the locus for the power of Maya. This is one school of thought. The second school of thought, as it says, in other words, the locus can be on only two things. Either it has to be Brahman or it has to be individual. So the other school of thought says it is the individual. Then the question arises as to the individual, if you are able to say before, if that is the locus, then you have created individual even before the projection itself has taken place. So there, I do not know which Acharya chiefly propounded this theory, but then he says this individual and this ignorance, this goes on like an endless cycle. It is always there, it comes manifest, it is always there before. It is like that chicken and egg. You can never trace out as to which came first and which came second. This is another school of thought. But in our understanding, the Padmapadacharya's explanation of locus of Brahman, in other words, when you say don't know, from practical point you say don't know. Don't know is the ignorance. This don't know, you cannot make a statement without that I backing it. So the pure I has to be the locus of the ignorance.
So we also make a statement that Brahman with the association power of Maya is called Ishvara. I mean, with that Westian Samasti part, in Samasti part we call it as Ishvara. So why in Brahman? Why not in Ishvara then?
Brahman in association with Maya is called Ishvara. Ishvara means Brahman in association with Maya. Brahman and Ishvara are not different from each other. In association with Maya, it's called Ishvara. Yes, sir.
Then, yes, the equipments we have are very limited. Can we perceive with this limited equipment the unlimited?
No, not possible. Not possible. We'll chant verse 5.
अज्ञानकलुषं जीवम् ज्ञानाभ्यासाद्विनिर्मलम् कृत्वा ज्ञानं स्वयं नश्येत् जलं ततकरेणुवत्.
The practice of knowledge thoroughly purifies the ignorance-stained individual, and the knowledge itself disappears as Kataka powder in water. A very beautiful example is given here. So the question arises as to when we have no access to Atman directly. We have access only to the ignorance, that too with our equipments. How is it that we are going to gain enlightenment? What is the process? This verse clarifies that aspect. In fact, because we talked about this Maya, and that is why it is the grace of great Mahatmas like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and others. Remember, this Atma Bodha, from time to time, it is going to give us thoughts which are as deep as what we covered. With argument, with intellect, never try to understand what that ignorance is. Unconsciously, what you are doing is, you are trying to establish ignorance here. With your intellect, actually, you are trying to establish ignorance. Don't establish ignorance. We are already established. We are already established in it very deep. We need to only try to get out of ignorance. A snake, Swami Ramtirtha gives this example, I think. A snake has twined around the leg of a person. It is a poisonous snake and it is slowly crawling. You need to carefully take it and remove it. As a person sees that and he points out to you, he says, I understand, but how did it come? He says, you are not aware. When you are working, it had come around you and slowly it is coming. No, but how? I cannot be aware of it. I was there, and he is trying to find out as to how the snake came. He says, don't go beyond a point as to how the snake has come upon you. Try only to get rid of the snake because it is catching you. It is poisonous and it is going to eat you alive. So, our aim must be to get out of this. And remember, when we studied the theory of perception also, which ultimately leads to Maya, never ever can this question be satisfactorily answered with full, intellectual capacity of the person who explains or the person who receives that explanation. On our side of ignorance, actually, we can ask questions and we have a lot of questions. There's no solution there. Vedanta says, cross over to the other side. It is all solved. There is no question at all. So you must go to the level where there is no question rather than trying to solve the question. This is where the great acharyas and gurus like Ramana Maharshi and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they have all crossed it, but being with us, living with us, gave out simple techniques and simple ways to cross over it. So in explanation of Maya, or in one of the contexts, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, don't beyond a point condemn this Maya also. And he says you can classify it into two. There are these aspects of Maya which you need to get rid of, which he calls as avidya Maya. And there are certain aspects of Maya which you need to court in order to again get rid of Maya only. So you worship Maya as the Shakti only, she will be able to then take you out of it. Like that he says. So when this shows itself as duality, anger and the ego and various other things, what is all? This is all the play of Maya only. So which we should not associate with. But then, what about this class? What about the study of Atma Bodha? What about the words of the Guru who is with all compassion trying to get us out of it? Court it at all points of time. He classifies and uses the term called Vidya Maya for it. So if you are able to use the conducive aspects of the Maya within this and use it in the proper way, that itself will propel you out of this. In Vedanta treatise, Swamiji explains this as, in the end of the chapter on Maya, he says as Swapna Simhavat. Swapna Simhavat means, Swapna means dream, Simha means lion, Vat means like a dream lion. So why heed to Vedanta, which is also part of the world, which is also part of the thought? Why do bhakti? Why worship Krishna, or why do we even have to sing bhajans? Why should we do karma or anything for that matter in the spirit of selfless service or sacrifice? All this is in the aspect of this ignorant world at all. Why should we even do it? This, it says, has a different kind of a utility vis-a-vis the other things. Now what does this do? Like a dream lion, which is also part of the dream, like every other thing which is part of the dream. You have the dream house, dream husband, dream wife, dream society, dream company, dream money. You are enjoying everything. And what does all those things make? It makes you feel very comfortable within the dream, and you are getting too much engrossed in the dream. Suddenly in the dream, a lion comes. That is also part of the dream, but that is totally of a different caliber altogether. What it does, it wakes you up from the dream. All other things did not wake you up from the dream. You are very happy within the dream, where you did not belong to. You belong to this state, waking state. But they were all making you comfortable in the dream. But this lion did not make you comfortable in the dream. It made you jump out of the bed, as it were, and you woke up. When you woke up, the entire dream dissolved. The important point is, the dream lion also dissolved. It is not that the lion alone came because it is it facilitated us. Lion is as good as the dream, but it had one peculiar quality to push you out. So therefore, you should be thankful to that lion. Right? Exactly like that. We must be thankful to Vedanta. We must be thankful to the scriptures. We must be thankful to the great masters. We must be thankful to our Guru and all forms of worship and God and everybody for that matter. Whoever is Satsang, in whatever is the Sangha, whatever is the right company which is going to take you from it. How does it work? It says, Jnana Abhyasa. That is the key word in this verse. Jnana Abhyasa means practice of knowledge. Abhyasa means practice. Jnana means knowledge. Practice of knowledge. Practice of knowledge is ultimately saying that I am not this body, I am the self. This is the essence of the practice of knowledge. Bhakti has some practice, Vairagya has some practice. Jnana practice is quite direct, and it is straight, and it is directly hitting the target. Plus, you don't need any other external paraphernalia to practice this. Even when you say Vairagya, you need some object to get away from, isn't it? In dispassion. Nothing like that here. The most easiest and most direct is the Jnana Abhyasa. When we say most easiest, it means for a prepared person. That's all it means. You don't need to do, say for a puja, you need to collect flowers and offer to your deity and all that is there, and it is good. Jnana Abhyasa, what you must do? Whenever, and you need not do anything. The world is giving you heat and cold, right? Even if you keep quiet, heat and cold is coming. Somebody is abusing you, somebody is giving you praise. That is there. You need not put in any effort for that. World is giving it. Somebody is giving you joy, somebody is giving you sorrow. So when it comes, you have to only say, it is not me, it's not for me. It is for I have nothing to do with it. The abuse he gives is for my intellect. The praise that he gives is for my intellect. I am not the intellect. You negate that. So the moment you are able to negate that, automatically you will be able to assert what is not this. That is the self. Of course, direct assertion is not possible because you are not able to pinpoint the self with the thing. But you can negate all that is the matter layers here. This negation and assertion is the practice of jnana. For the assertion, what is given is the thought of the self. But we can say the thought of the self is also a thought. And thought is ignorance. And ignorance is part of this world. So it is not the self. How can thought of the self, which is ignorance, remove ignorance or help remove ignorance? This is the question that this verse answers. There is a system of cleansing water in the good old days. When they bring water from the pond or the river, it is good enough for drinking, but it needs to be further purified. For purification, what they do is when they store it in a pot, they sprinkle this Kataka-Nut powder on it. This Kataka-Nut powder forms a thin film on the surface of water that has that quality. When a thin slimy film is formed, it has the attracting quality to which all the suspended impurities in the water get attracted. So they get attracted to that film. So it becomes little heavy and it starts sinking. As it starts sinking, more dirts which are there, they get attracted more. Then it starts further sinking As it goes down, it collects more dirt. Finally, what happens is that it is able to attract all the dirt that is there, and then it goes and settles in the bottom, as it were. So in the process of cleaning, very important point to note is that all the dirt gets wiped out. But then what happens to the powder that you put first? Because vis-a-vis pure water, that is also a dirt. You're throwing something apart from water in water, that is also a dirt. But this dirt has a peculiar quality that it is able to remove all other dirt from the water, and in the process it removes itself also. That also goes away. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Like that, we are already having lot of thoughts, lot of desires, and the mind functions according to that in a very big way. And now this Vedantic knowledge comes and gives one more thought to us. And this thought is that you are the self. I am the self. I am the self. This is the assertion. I am not this body, mind, intellect, which I believe myself to be. So the Guru comes into our life and says, you are not the body, mind and intellect which you believe yourself to be. You are the self. So this is one positive thought that is put into us. But in the overall picture, it is also a thought. But this thought has a very peculiar quality that it is able to remove all other thoughts. And finally, then you may ask, what happens to this thought? Don't worry, this thought also goes away. In our limited experience, of course, this example may not be complete, but you can say that you are wanting to sleep, which is at the end of the day, which is where we refresh ourselves by going into sleep. So you have done all the work, and now what must be kept in mind is that I need to sleep. The thought of the sleep must be there. But remember, thought of the sleep is not sleep, because as long as the thought of sleep is there, you cannot sleep. So in and through, when you have the thought of sleep, what you do? You prepare the bed. You do all other activities quickly so that you can go and sleep. All the things are done. All these are activities. All these are based on something that you are doing. All this is opposed to sleep. But in and through all these things, if you maintain the thought of sleep, you will say that I have to finish all these activities quickly only because I need to go to sleep. But when you are sitting on the bed also, if you are having that thought of sleep at that point of time, you will not sleep. But in practice, we see that sleep overcomes and that thought of sleep also goes. It does happen. So the thought of sleep is also getting dissolved finally into that sleep. So thought of sleep is not sleep, but if you don't have, I have to somehow watch the full IPL match today, then I have to do all these things. If this is the thought that is running, even if sleep comes, you will not sleep. Or rather you will make yourself very uncomfortable. You will go through extreme physical pain. All these things you will go through. You will not go through sleep. So you need to have that thought of sleep and then work towards it. That's about all. But how and when sleep overcomes, you do not know. But in that process, the thought of sleep also gets dissolved. As I said, this is a limited example, but it conveys only this point. Exactly like that, we are given this thought of self, thought of God, as it were. The Guru comes and tells, this is what it is. You are that. This assertion in you slowly gains power. With that power, it is able to burn away all other thoughts. It is able to wipe away everything else. And finally, that alone glows. And lastly, that thought also dissolves. This is dramatized in the drama of realization through the ultimate process of meditation. See, this assertion and negation, which is going to be explained later in the topic 4, I think, 31 to 36. He is going to explain what exactly is negation and assertion in full. But this negation and assertion practice or principle finally culminates in the single pointed thought of meditation, where it's absolute assertion of the self only. You have gotten rid of all thoughts. Finally, you have come to the state of single pointed thought. Our effort can lead maximum up to that stage only. How does that? Okay, with the power of higher and higher thought, all the lower thoughts have dropped off, cause and effect functions, and you are able to see and you go up to that level. Finally, you may ask as to how does that final thought go? We do not know. How it goes, we do not know. But it will snap. It will snap in that holy moment of realization. You go into the state of thoughtlessness. So, the thought of the self is that which needs to be attended to. From the practical point of view, taking the words of Paramahamsa, hold on to the Vidya Maya, which is the practice of being in satsang, practice of knowledge, practice of studying, practice of bhakti, and all other selfless karma that we do. All those things, in other words, for the taking away of the poison, when they give a medicine, that medicine is also made of poison only. What does that do? It goes and does something and takes it out. Or take the simpler example of taking a thorn out of another thorn. The thorn is embedded. To take the thorn out, you need another thing similar to that. So you remove that. But finally what you do? Both the thorns you throw away. But this thorn is required to take out that thorn. Like that it is this thought of the self that is required for us to remove the all other thoughts here. Yes, sir.
So why is it called Jnana Abhyasa? Because either you have Jnana or you don't have Jnana. Like in one of the classes you said, you can't see you're half ignorant. Either you're ignorant or you're not ignorant, or you're knowledgeable. So why is it term used?
No, Abhyasa means the practice. The practice is assertion. Our practice is in the realm of the thought flow only. So with this thought flow, you are asserting the knowledge of the self. To say that I am the self is an assertion. This is practice. Being a witness is both a practice and ultimately the state is also witness. So when something affects you, something is thrown at you, you are saying that this is not for me, it is for my body, and you are able to view it as a witness. There, to maintain that objectivity and practice this is a practice. Jnana Abhyasa. This will ultimately lead to the what jnana you are talking about, which is the jnana of enlightenment. That is the absolute jnana. This is a process. This is a process. What we do here is one of the forms of jnana abhyasa, maybe at a grosser level, but it is a jnana abhyasa only. That process by which you are able to assert the self. Even in the last verse, a couple of verses before, he said karma is opposed to jnana. So even as we do what we explained at that point of time, is even as we do selfless karma, by the thought, if you are able to assert that goal, by the thought, if you are able to assert that it is for the Lord that I am doing that, your thought is pegged there. So you are again asserting the jnana only there. So we can use the karma, we can use the bhakti, we can use the jnana, study, reflection, everything on all other practices, culminating up to meditation. Everything can be clubbed under the spiritual sadhana. So without which we cannot cross over. But don't worry about how that is going to go, since it is part of this ignorant driven universe only, that will go by itself. Right? Yes.
Negations are so many, assertions is only one assertion.
Yeah, only one assertion. It is like one small candle light, but it's a dense darkness that will go away. Like that, it is so powerful.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, he says, Pariprashnena Sevaya. When I go to the Guru's feet, prostrate and question. When we say question, this is the Vidya questioning that we are talking about.
Yeah, correct. The whole thing is chapter 4, verse 34. He is talking about the qualifications of a student. When will the Guru come to you? Only if you are qualified and prepared. The preparation is talking about pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So at the mental level, there is absolute surrender to the Guru. There is attitude of surrender is always there. Complete bhakti is there. But it is not a blind faith. You are allowed to question what you are not able to understand. That attitude of inquiry, that is also must be there. With the attitude of learning, obviously. To the Guru we go only to learn. And then Sevaya is the attitude of doing service. If all these three, at the body level service, at the intellect level question, at the mind level surrender, if you are prepared like this, Guru will come and knock at your door, as it were. That means a fully qualified Guru will come into your life the moment you are prepared like this. It works on the basis of the law of demand and supply. The moment you create such a demand within your system, automatically it is being supplied by this. The practice of knowledge thoroughly purifies the ignorance-stained individual, and the knowledge itself disappears as Kataka powder in water. We'll chant verse 6.
Samsara swapnatulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha स्वकाले सत्यवद्भाति प्रबोधे सत्यसद्भवेत्.
The waking state, full of attachment, aversions, etc., is verily like a dream. As long as it exists, it appears to be real, but it becomes unreal when one is enlightened. Topic 2 begins here, 10 verses from now, very deep verses worthy of contemplation. It is talking about how the material equipments superimpose world upon Brahman. It is in this topic that we are going to see how this gross body is formed, how is the subtle body formed, what is the definition of causal body. Everything is covered in this topic, and he is talking about the ultimate principle of Vedanta, which he says as what we understand or experience this waking state is just like another dream. Is one of the most powerful thoughts of Vedanta. See, this we would have heard many times, we would have read many times, even in public lectures sometimes, in the context Swamiji or Sunandaji might say this. And when we give the example, whatever example he is going to give, later he is going to say like bubbles, he is going to say like silver and oyster, or what you mistake as a ghost for something else, like that. Various examples are given with little bit of background and little bit of logical thinking and understanding. We don't find it like a rocket science that we will not be able to relate to what is being said. But moment we probably go out of this door, all that is forgotten actually. If somebody even asks you a question or what did we discuss, you may bring it from your recollection, or you may say, but you won't find that type of intensity. See, suppose if we are talking about, let's say election is coming, who should you vote for? What is the best for the country? How much of passion it generates within us. And we also feel very firmly that, we must do it for India, whatever is the best thing. All of us feel that way, and that feeling is not something false or unreal. It is there. So, when we are able to practice and relate at the level that we are, because for us, let us say, India is real, and a good government should come, all those yearning is real, desire is level, we will be able to operate there. And then you will say, what we feel is, all this is what we discuss in the class here is theoretical. It really doesn't apply in the practical world. In practical world, you now tell me, sir, I want a telephone connection. How will this verse help me? You can't, you cannot bring down Atma Bodha to the level of dealing with corruption or a telephone connection here. This has to be, why does this happen? And this is how I think Swami Vivekananda explains Maya. He does not go into, of course, he has explained it thoroughly in a very great way. But he's saying, don't ever think that you don't know Maya. You are deeply in it. You are established in it. Don't now ask for explanation of Maya. We all know what is the power of senses and how it is attracting us and how it is going to lead us into physical trouble, disease, and the mental addiction and everything that we know. And you will probably tell your child also and tell others also. But when the attraction comes in front of you, we immediately completely lose ourselves and get ourselves entangled in it. How do you explain this? This, he says, is Maya. This is Maya. What more do you want explanation of Maya? This is what it is. I do not know what it is, why it is, and all the explanations and other things, it is there. But when it comes to reality, I am not able to face it. We all know that we should, having ego or shouting in anger and other thing, it only makes us more, stressed and everything. And we know at any point just maintain silence, say Hari Om and maintain a relationship and carry on with it. No. When somebody says even the slightest thing, which may not be directly related, somebody says, no, this person will not win the election. You have not, it really affects us. Or as your KKR team wins or loses in a match. where you have no direct stake also, but it really affects us. And you are not able to get over it for maybe even weeks together or hours together, whatever it is. Why is it that? How is it? Can you just not maintain objectivity and let any team win as it is? That is Maya. That's all it is. You don't need any further explanation than that. Now, this has to be, therefore, the practice of knowledge that he talked about in the previous verse. We need to first deeply yearn and understand and have an awareness of the requirement of knowledge. Atma Bodha or any other text which is so logical and so precise, it can be understood by anybody with little amount of common sense and intellect. That is not a big deal. The big deal is to bring in that awareness that I need this knowledge on a consistent basis. That is why, from the worldly point of view, from practical point of view, never ever leave Satsang. However much you may be intellectually strong and we feel so, it just slips away in that moment. It will not hold. So at least try to be in the company of people who are in tune with the reality, who are like a magnetized iron piece, so that you will get attracted and through them you will be in touch with that electricity. Don't let go of this. That is why Bhajagovindam, one of the pet themes which got repeated again and again 3-4 places, is Satsang. Never ever leave Satsang. See, your development of intellect, everything is required and we are in that process. But how and when it will slip, we do not know. We have stories of great stalwarts. Bhagavad Gita says, Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha. A man who is striving on the spiritual path, even for him, the attractions of the senses are very powerful. Senses, its nature is like that. And you have to open your eyes, ears, everything. And that is where the sages like Vishwamitra indicate to us that you can be in a great sense of tapas there. So therefore, when we are talking about this practice of knowledge, always have that attitude of surrender and bhakti along with it together going. In fact, that is the true practice of knowledge. I am the self. That intellectual conviction also must be there. But you please make me remember you. That is also there. It is not in your hands completely. That is the point. So, have that intellectual conviction and the devotional surrender going together in that assertion. This verse says, the waking state full of attachment and aversion, etc. is verily like a dream. As long as it exists, it appears to be real, but it becomes unreal when one is enlightened. The dream example is given here. All of us know that when you wake up from the dream, you dismiss the dream immediately, saying that it is false, some imagination, some unreal thing that I went through. But the key word, another key word that is given here is svakale. Svakale means in its own time. That means when it is happening. In dream, when it is happening. As long as the dream is existing, it was so real for you. You cannot deny that. You only dismiss it upon waking up to some other state of consciousness. Exactly like that, he says, this world now seems very real for us at this point of time. And you cannot deny that also. It is making a lot of impact upon us. But compare with the dream and let that thought be there in the back of the mind, that can there be any point of difference between the dream world and the waking world from our limited experience that we have gone through? These two are the two states of experiences that we go through on a daily basis. Is there anything different? Swamiji always makes this statement very clearly. He says, if you feel that the dream world is unreal, now if you feel that the dream world is unreal, you will not find any more proper reason to say that this world is any more real. If you feel, suppose you say, no, dream world is real, then there's no argument. I will only ask you, where is the dream world? Show me. That's about all. You cannot. So, assuming, don't for the sake of ask like that, dream world is unreal, everybody has gotten over it and we understand. So if you consider dream world to be unreal, you have no further reason to believe that this world is any more real. What it means is, it is as real as the dream world. What is the aspect of dream world and what is the aspect of this world? We'll take it up in the next class.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.